Welcome back from Turning Point. Welcome, Empowered Living. My name is Sam McHugh, and I'm here with Linda Wilson. And we titled this Turning Point, Why I Keep Going Back. I want Linda to share her experiences and why we, as people who are always seeking to improve ourselves, we keep going back to events that have been successful for us in the past. So, Linda, if you want to just start in about what you experienced and what maybe new you took away this time.
It's a it's a 3-day experience, and then if you do the VIP dinner, it's 3.5. And Paul teaches us on various subjects that are pertinent for him, are pertinent for us. I would say, as always, one of the biggest and most impactful lessons for me is his one on forgiveness. And he talks about the 3 R's. And now I have to remember them. I don't have them in order. I think it's resistance, resentment, and revenge. And really what happens when you're not willing to forgive is the only person that gets hurt is you.
Mm-hmm.
If it's someone else you need to forgive and you don't, 9 times out of 10, they don't know or they don't care. Whatever it is you're angry with them about, it's not a blip on their life at all.
Mm-hmm.
So all it does is eat away at you and your beingness. And what I found for me is the person I need to forgive is me. And
yes.
And I've been working on that one for a while. And every year when I go back, I always hear something else about that piece of forgiveness for myself that opens up a little bit more and allows me to forgive myself more. And this year it felt like a full breakthrough.
Good.
Like I'm just no longer looking at myself going, how stupid can you be? It's almost to the point where the things I was angry with myself about, they're over, they're done. Nobody cares. Nobody cares but me.
Mm-hmm.
So why am I keeping that alive?
Right.
And it turns into it's a convenient excuse for me not being successful because this, and this. And,
right.
As Paul says, because, we're down the
Yellow
brick road of flagellation and, just, how much more can I take out on myself?
Right.
I'm 63. I'm going to be 64, and it finally hit home this time.
Yeah. Well, and forgiveness is such a, my pastoral background and everything else, and you talk to people about forgiveness and repentance and all this kind of stuff, and you with your expertise in self-care, if we could get people that we coach and mentor and train to understand that forgiveness piece has to start at home.
It does.
And to work on that. And you mentioned, resistance,
resentment and revenge.
Think about just the self-destruction that brings upon us, and to forgive ourselves of our past. Who cares? I got it. This is a classic story. Okay. I was in business with family, okay, and it went south. And the one family member didn't do what they were supposed to, on and on and on. But that family member's spouse, who, had no clue. All she knew was what she lost, okay? And I was upset. She was upset. And for years, I was like, okay, I had to get over it. I had no idea she didn't know. And of course, you always have a mediator in family. You always have a fixer in there. And the fixer told me, you realize that she doesn't know all of the story. I said, well, she has to. No, she doesn't know. Anyway, so I tried to talk to her about it. She wasn't ready. And so I just got to a point where I had to say, okay, she didn't know, got to forgive her, got to forget about it. Boom. And I moved on and began to deal with the other person. And then, I don't know, a few years later, she decided she wanted to talk about it. I'd forgotten about it. She thought that I still had some resentment. She thought that I still had, some bitterness towards her and stuff like that. And she was just getting to the point where she realized that I wasn't all the blame because she found some documents. She found, her spouse had died. And, they were divorced at the time, but she found a bunch of stuff. And anyway, long story short, she held on to that for so long, that it drove a wedge, and it has taken us years to get that wedge out. Right.
And the thing that happens is everybody thinks that by forgiving someone, everything goes back to how it was. Well, no, it doesn't. And that's okay.
Yep. It's a new road.
It's a new road, and it takes both parties to travel that road. But one of the things that really hit me during that session was not only that, I needed to forgive myself for the various things, but forgiveness, whether it's self or of someone else, is a form of self-care.
Absolutely.
Because we have to be willing to release that energy, because the only person, again, that feels it is us. And even if we find a way to make someone feel bad and we're taking revenge on them, we're getting hurt the worst because we are doing it with malice.
Yeah.
And if we do things in malice, how do we expect our relationships to grow healthily? How do we expect our businesses to grow in a healthy manner?
Right.
How do we expect, because everything is energy.
Yeah.
And we attract the like vibration. So if the like vibration is
revenge,
or I am feeling hate, or I'm feeling resentment, whether it's against me or someone else, guess what I'm getting more of?
Yep.
Hello?
Yep. I know.
And so, we titled it, Why Keep Going Back? So here's why you keep going back. It's not like you're going to learn everything the first time.
Right.
Number one, we hear and we understand and we get what we need to. And each time it's going to be different, even if it seems like the content is the same.
Yes.
And I mean, I can go back through my notes from the other two that I've gone to, and I honor everything. So I honored it all. So that part is very similar. The handwritten notes I took are very different.
Yeah.
Because I heard things differently, or it hit me differently. And the things I felt the need to document at that time were different. And as long as he's doing Turning Point, I will be back.
Yeah.
Because there's always something that I'm working on that I need that inspiration, that light shone on. And it's not that we sit down and we talk about individually the things we're working on, unless, when we're in meeting up with folks, we want to talk about it. But it's more going in with the intention, I need to release this, or this is where I'm stuck. And so I'm going to go in with the intention of being open to whatever comes from God through Paul to me.
Right.
Or from God through the other attendees to me.
Right.
and from God through me to others.
Right.
It's not all about what I get. It's also about who I can be while I'm there and who I can serve.
Right. Right.
It's not an individual thing. Parts of it
Right.
are individual, but parts of it are group. And
Mhm.
it's so illuminating. And we have the one day where we go out to the ropes course if the weather allows. And the first year I did the tall one
Mhm.
because I wanted to face my fear of heights. When I
Right.
was younger, I didn't have that fear. So
Uh-huh.
I wanted to conquer that fear. And then the second year, I did the middle one because I just wanted to see what was different.
Mhm.
And this year, I thought I'm going to do the base camp. I heard we got to play laser tag, and I've never played laser tag. So
Yeah.
we got to play laser tag. That was so
Yeah. There
fun.
you go.
But I also got to climb. I was hoping it would be the rock wall, but we didn't get to do the rock wall. We did the ladder and the tires,
Mhm.
and I didn't get as far up as I wanted to, but farther than I thought I would
Yeah.
because I don't work out. I don't do any
Mhm.
physical activity for my body. And that told me that if I want to do the things I want to do, I need to get my body strength
Right.
in
Right.
order.
Mhm.
So one of the things I'm bringing home from Turning Point is I'm rearranging my schedule so I can get some gym time in.
Okay. Okay.
I am over 60, so I can go to any Denver City Rec Center for free.
Yeah. Yeah.
I don't have to pay for it.
Yeah.
So what's my excuse to not go? Right?
It's snowing, it's raining. I mean, you just have to get past the excuses. Yeah,
Yeah,
and like you say, you've heard the teaching several times,
right.
but you take something different away from it every time.
Always, always.
And
And that was huge for me, not just the self-forgiveness for what I was doing to myself, but
right.
the fact that forgiveness isn't just the aspects of forgiveness that we think of,
Hmm.
but the fact that it's part of our self-care.
Right. Right.
And it's part of our self-care for us as individuals, for our families,
Yes.
for our business, for everything that we do.
Hmm.
And it takes a lot to offend me. So I'm not one that gets offended a lot,
Hmm.
but I am one that up until the last few years was very conscious about whether I was going to offend others. And I never want to offend someone on purpose.
On purpose. Yeah.
But there are going to be things I do or say that are going to offend someone because we're human beings.
Yes.
And there are human beings that look to be offended.
Yes. Oh yeah. 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 Yeah.
And there are human beings that, especially that's why I prefer to do things in person
Hmm.
because you can offend someone without meaning to in an email because you can't
Yeah.
get tonality and you
Right.
can't get
Right.
facial expression and body language in an
Right.
email.
Right. Right. Right.
And so it's very easy to come across wrong.
Hmm. Yeah.
I'm 63. I've learned that.
Yeah. 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 No. No. I hear you. I hear you. The for you to talk about coming away with one of the big takeaways is the number one, the physical side of it,
Mhm.
um, the forgiveness side of it. One of the things that I teach, and it's really really hard for people to comprehend, and that is, well, I've forgiven this person, and then you get to talking about it, and one of those three R's is going to come out
Yes.
while you're talking with them about it, and if it does, they haven't forgiven.
Well, and that's the thing is, and I think people say, "Oh, I forgive them," because they might have said to themselves, "I forgive them," but they haven't let it go.
Right, right, right. And the easiest way, and if you've watched Linda and I for any length of time, y'all know I'm a pastor, and so one of the things that I tell people is that until you can begin to pray to bless the person who offended you or who wronged you, or that you need you need to forgive till you can bless them, the forgiveness isn't complete. It's in the process. And I know I was abused as a child. And until I began to be able to ask God to, bless that person the way God wanted to bless, not the way I wanted it done,
Right.
because I can think of all sorts of ways.
That's right. And it's not really a blessing,
It's
but
not necessarily a blessing, correct? But God's will in that, and then let it go. And I'm in my 70s, and this happened, as a very, very young teen, and to hold on to that and to not realize how much that affected everything. And there's a whole bunch of stuff over the course of the last few years that I've begun to work on and things like that. But always, those I wrote those 3 R's down because I had heard that before and I forgot where I probably wrote them down. I just don't have the notes, or I can't find them, one of the two. But one of those 3 is going to pop up.
it's going to, and the thing is like, when I was younger, I prided myself on being able to carry a grudge. And I could out petty anyone. I was very proud of that.
Yep.
And believe me, there were people that we had very fierce competitions on. We were constantly trying to outdo each other.
Yep.
Ha ha, joke, it ain't a joke.
Yeah.
And when I started my personal development journey, I realized how destructive that was. And for the most part, I've let that go. I've been able to let that go. And I really don't carry grudges anymore. I can think of 1 or 2 people in my life that if I were to meet them now, I wouldn't be rude, but I wouldn't be all friendly. So that tells me I haven't completely let it go.
Yeah.
And then I look at people who have suffered terribly at the hands of someone else, and I think, would I be able to completely forgive?
Right.
Now, we've got, I'm in Denver, we've got families of people killed in the Columbine shootings that have forgiven. And I thought, could I be that big?
Yep.
Could I go that far? I don't ever want to have to find out.
Right.
But I've met people who have gone through horrific loss and suffering who have been able to do that. And that's just being full of God's blessing.
Yep. Yes, exactly.
And God and I talk a lot, and I feel very good in my relationship with God, but I don't know that I don't know. Losing my mom was hard, but she was ready. I was angry with God for a very long time when I lost my grandmother because she got lung cancer from secondhand smoke. She was never a smoker, but her whole family around her did. But she was 89.
Full life.
But I was angry because I thought, why? All she ever wanted to do was just fall asleep and not wake up.
Yeah.
So why? Why did she have to go through that? And I remember being so angry with him.
Yeah.
And finally I thought, well, it's not for me to know.
Yeah. So as we come to the end of our time, Linda, if you were to take away the personalities, and if you're on the Empowered Living platform listening to this, you know who the personalities we're talking about, and take and put one huge takeaway that you could pass on to our listeners so that they could think about this when they think about going back to events because of personalities. is there something that you could get people to think about when it comes to taking in events, especially something like Turning Point?
I would say look at two things. Number one, what's the reason you're going? And if the reason you're going is because of the personalities, that's probably not a deep enough reason, and you will not get full value out of it.
Right.
And number two is go in with an open heart and an open mind to receive whatever it is you're going to receive, because I always get so much from the teachings, but I get huge value from the interactions with the others that attend.
Yeah. They
And
always say,
they
always say you learn more in the hallway.
You know, we're there to help each other, hold each other up, be there for each other. It's not just about sitting in a seminar. It's not a seminar. It's not.
Right.
This is a very active 3-day workshop. And it's not just about being on the ropes course and doing that stuff. If you go in ready to openly engage and interact, because we interact with each other a lot. He does his teachings, but then we interact with it. And I love having the personalities. I love having Paul and Andy and David and all the folks that pour into us. But I will keep going as long as it's being held regardless.
Yep.
Because I need that interaction with everyone. It's you have to experience it to understand.
Yep.
And you want to just keep going back.
Yep. So, Linda, I've enjoyed our conversation today. For all of you in the Empowered Living community and those who listen to us on other platforms, we thank you. And if you're going to a conference on a regular basis, an annual basis and stuff like that, look at what Linda has to say. Are you going strictly for the personalities, or are you going to go to actually dive deeper into the teaching and the learning and the interactions? So, Linda, thank you very much for sharing.
You bet.
We'll see you all on next week. Have a great week. We'll talk to you later. Live intentionally. Be very blessed, my friends. Bye-bye.
See you soon, everybody.